Well, thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and I'm proud to once again stand in my place to speak about small businesses here in Saskatchewan. But first, I feel the need that I need to thank a few people here in our caucus office. We've got Haley, we've got Paula, I forget the young fellow's name. Callan, who
recognize the member.
Well, that's a first, Mr. Speaker. Thank you. We've got Paula and Haley and Callan and Lee and John and Carly in our caucus office, providing us research each and every day here. It helps us do our jobs a lot better. And contrary to what the member from Saskatoon Centre thinks, the quality of research has only gone up. It's not declining, and we're very thankful for the work that they do in our office here, and I just wanted to give them a shout out before we start. So I'm proud to once again stand in my place and support small businesses here in our province, and we should all support our small businesses here. I've stood many times to highlight how small business is the backbone of our economy and how many people are employed by those entrepreneurs who take a risk, put their own money on the line, and work their fingers to the bone to provide valuable services we all need in this province. Saskatchewan is blessed with thousands of entrepreneurs, and we reap the fruits of their labour through their contributions to health, social services, and education. Small business accounts for over 98% of the businesses in Saskatchewan. We have more small businesses per capita than anywhere else in Canada. That's why our government has invested in them, removed red tape, and raised the exemption for small businesses up to $600,000 just this year, Mr. Speaker.
Hear, hear.
The Saskatchewan Technology Startup Incentive Program actually has its roots in another program started not quite a year ago. CoLabs launched in June of 2017. I was there with the Premier and other colleagues because we all saw what this had the potential to become. I've been there many times since, talking with tech companies, actually mostly listening to those tech companies and their leaders, talking with their mentors, and listening to the sponsors of their various events. It's quite the place, Mr. Speaker, and I would encourage all in this Assembly to make the trip to the University of Saskatchewan and Saskatoon University constituency, the best in the province, by the way, and Innovation Place to see what CoLabs is all about. It's a part of a strategy to have our entrepreneurs with their fantastic ideas graduate from here, grow their ideas here, and provide people with employment right here in Saskatchewan. This is something unfamiliar to the NDP. There's nothing ad hoc about this program, as the member from Saskatoon Centre claimed yesterday. When he spoke about elephants in the room, I can only assume he was referring to many of the failed ventures of the past from the NDP, like Redx.com, or Click-a-Bid, or Mega Bingo, and oh, so many more, Mr. Speaker. Yesterday, the member from Saskatoon Centre said, and I quote, "Excellent idea, but what happens once you've got it up and running? You have to maintain it. You have to maintain it." And this is where this government falls short. And that's why so often startups start to look around Canada, around the world. Where can we go to get the kind of support that we need to make things really work and so they can be sustainable? End quote. Mr. Speaker, wrong. They don't say that. Not the ones that I've consulted with or listened to. They don't say that at all, Mr. Speaker. It sounds like the member from Saskatoon Centre wants to own those businesses, not just give them a tool to help them raise private capital, but buy them and own them and operate them and probably unionize them. Like Potash Corp, like Big Sky Farms, and our famous Spudco. They don't understand business over there, Mr. Speaker.
Nope.
But unlike those failures, this incentive program will create the conditions for continued rapid growth and success of newly emerging technology companies. This incentive will further strengthen the province's innovation strategy by helping to retain technology startups in Saskatchewan. Every jurisdiction in Western Canada has this form of investment program. Jordan Duchak, Executive Director of CoLabs, says, quote, "The current size of Saskatchewan's private capital pool coupled with a lack of investor incentive programs, has made it difficult for early-stage technology startups to acquire the capital they need to launch and scale their businesses. The SDSI will create greater access to capital in the province, leading to better retention of entrepreneurial talent and skilled labour. Historically, Saskatchewan has been the only jurisdiction in Western Canada that did not offer a startup investment tax incentive. As such, the establishment of this program will allow the province to effectively participate in the increasingly competitive area of innovation commercialization in Canada, as well as attract and retain talent and investment in the province." End quote. Saskatchewan has a growing technology sector. It employs about 5,000 people, and according to Statistics Canada, it contributes $1.45 billion to our province's economy. But the tech sector identified that the #1 barrier to success is the access to private capital. Saskatchewan must be opportunistic and cost competitive across all innovation sectors to facilitate greater investment and entrepreneurship outcomes. Removing the barriers to securing early-stage investment or angel investment is critical to our province at this stage because these companies outperform non-angel-backed companies in sales growth, employment growth, wages paid, research and development expenditures, and profits. They tend to employ highly skilled workers, and they grow entrepreneurial talent and management expertise, and often spur spin-off companies and economic activity. I also heard that, Mr. Speaker. I heard that over and over again when I was listening to these technology companies. The SDSI will help to address a significant barrier to the continued rapid growth of companies and economic activity. The SDSI will help to address a significant barrier to the continued rapid growth of Saskatchewan's tech sector, the shortage of capital available for early-stage tech startups. To qualify for the program, eligible technology-based startups must be located in Saskatchewan. They must also have 50 employees or fewer, with at least half of those employees located in our province. The program also has the support of Saskatchewan's investor community, which has been requesting an angel investment tax credit for several years. The SDSI will help up to 30 startups over the 2.5-year pilot program. At least $5 million of private investment will be leveraged by this program. This pilot program will offer a 45% non-refundable tax credit for individual and corporate equity investments in eligible technology startup businesses, capped at a maximum annual benefit of $140,000 per investor. The Saskatchewan Technology Startup Incentive will be managed by Innovation Saskatchewan and will be funded through the agency's $7.2 million surplus funds, which will support tax expenditures and program administration. Innovation Saskatchewan will be working closely as well with the Ministry of Trade and Export Development. So what does this all mean, Mr. Speaker? We've been hearing for years about how our technology companies are hurting for capital. Here's some facts right from the people who this incentive will help the most. Since CoLabs was founded in 2017, there have been 37 jobs created by the companies in the incubator. They project that they will double that and hire 40 more. Private investment has topped $3.35 million. 92 companies applied to join the program, and 30 have been accepted. They average about 5.3 months in the CoLabs program. And right now, there is over $5 million in the private capital investment pipeline. This angel tax credit will help that money move from investors to the companies that will be creating jobs for the future. Companies like Townfolio, Mr. Speaker, who started a couple of years ago. Townfolio is a trusted community profile network used by municipalities and businesses to access hard-to-find public data and discover local opportunities across the country. Companies like SalonScale, Mr. Speaker. This software uses Bluetooth scales to measure the exact cost of each hair color bowl to allow for a more consistent bottom line at hair salons. Here's what Alicia Soulier, the owner of SalonScale, said about the STSI. And I quote, "Over the last year, I have taken my startup, SalonScale Technology, from a single idea to a fully functional product. Since the beginning, I have self-funded and bootstrapped my venture to a point where we had a product ready to take to potential investors. Over this last month, we have successfully raised $150,000 in funding from angel investors, all of which reside in Saskatchewan. Companies like Safety Tech, Mr. Speaker, a platform that automatically enforces a company's safety program by tracking user activity in real time, creating accountability throughout their workforce. At a time when safety is a very big piece of what companies do every day, Mr. Speaker, it would be unfortunate that this great idea would be left behind simply for a lack of private capital. Ryan Quiring, President and CEO of Safety Tech, says, quote, "In the early days of a tech entrepreneur's journey to commercialization, there is a phase commonly known as the Valley of Death. In this phase, entrepreneurs and startups often struggle to grow past a certain point as they lack the sales traction necessary to attract outside investment from angel investors and venture capitalists. As a result, many startups plateau and are surpassed by their competition. In developing markets and tech communities like Saskatchewan, incentives such as the SDSI allow startups to compete with those in larger centres that traditionally have access to larger capital pools, and in doing so, enable the startups to circumvent the Valley of Death altogether." End quote. I could go on and on about the number of companies that will benefit from this program, but I think we're starting to see the big picture. Money isn't the only thing these young startup entrepreneurs need, Mr. Speaker, and CoLabs is providing that mentorship as well. CoLabs is run by a board of directors. Now, on that board, Mr. Speaker, is a number of successful technology entrepreneurs who are more than willing to give up their time to help up-and-comers navigate the path from a great idea to a best-in-class business. People like Jacqueline Cook, CSO of Vendasta Technologies, Jeff Dick, Director of Engineering at Mentor Graphics, Catherine Renier, CEO of Coconut Calendar, Greg Sutton, CEO of Tiny Eye Therapy Services, Ian Meyer, CEO of Bitstrata Systems. And then there's Wes Jickling and Carrie Harvey from Innovation Saskatchewan. Well, the SDSI is in itself a huge help to making these new, small, but innovative and disruptive companies grow into something more. Without support and mentoring, some of these companies may very well fall by the wayside. That's why this whole package is very exciting, Mr. Speaker. These young entrepreneurs now have the incubator, the mentorship, and the capital they need to succeed. This will only make our province stronger. We have our homegrown, successful citizens reaching out and spending over 500 hours of their own time helping others who need it. We have a space and organization for the bright young minds to spend their time building and expanding their ideas while doing it side by side. And now we have the investment from the venture capital firms to fund the next big idea. It's a trifecta for success, Mr. Speaker. But don't take my word for it. Doug Conklin, chair of the Saskatchewan Capital Network, here's what he had to say about the announcement. "We are confident, quote, we are confident that this tax credit will give more people the incentive required to become investors, resulting in positive economic spin-offs for the province. An angel investor tax credit will encourage more people to invest in more companies, and that investment will ripple throughout our economy." End quote. Now, Mr. Speaker, I hate being in second place. I hate being in third place or fourth place as well. When I hear of Waterloo, I think of Waterloo, Iowa, home of John Deere tractors. I think of the ABBA song, which I didn't particularly like, but I think of that song. It certainly doesn't say to me, Mr. Speaker, tech capital of Canada. But that's the word out there, Mr. Speaker. I heard it time and again that we're losing bright young minds to Waterloo, of all places. And I hate that, Mr. Speaker. Especially when they tell me that they would rather have stayed here. We've been there, done that before with Alberta in the 1990s, Mr. Speaker, and it drives me crazy. 30 seconds. So as I could go on and on, Mr. Speaker, but I move the following motion, that this Assembly supports the government's commitment to using innovative programs such as the Saskatchewan Technology Startup Incentive and the Saskatchewan Value-Added Agriculture Incentive to support businesses and entrepreneurship in our province. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Hear, hear.